Welcome to GCCars. My name is Eric and today we are going for a POV test drive slash POV review of this 2022 Ford Mustang Mach-E California Route 1 edition. For this one, I'm not doing a full review. It's more kind of as a reference point for future EV reviews. That's why we're kind of doing this in this POV test drive. If you want to know anything specific, I have everything time-coded in the bottom of the YouTube player, so you can skip ahead if there's anything you really want to see and know right away. But otherwise, we're just going to go through the interior of the trunk. We're going to drive it, of course, and see how good this Mach-E is. But if you want to have a proper full review, I reviewed a Mach-E GT not too long ago, and I'll leave that for you in the top right-hand corner. So this rapid red colored Mach-E, what does the California Route 1 mean? Well, we have the long range battery, 91 kilowatt hours, and this is exclusively rear wheel drive. There is an option for it to be all-wheel drive, and for the 2023 model year, all of them are going to be all-wheel drive, but this one aspect is just rear-wheel drive, and you can see this neat little badge we get here, California Route 1, and I think it looks pretty good. But before we go in the interior, let's take a quick look here at the trunk. We have 29.7 cubic feet of space as is, and if you put down the second row seats, we get 59.7 cubic feet, which is a little more than the Ioniq 5 and the EV6 offer, but as you can see, this in the Route 1 here is a manual trunk, so we don't have electronic opening and closing, and in this thing, just like in the GT, is kind of a piece of garbage. It likes to fall out and then it blocks your rear view. I am not a big fan of it, but let's take a look here at the rear seats. That's the button to open it up, and space in here is fairly nice. So you see, of course, with the glass roof, we have plenty of headroom. We have plenty of space here for our feet, and in general, I would say it's actually nice and comfortable in here. We have a bit of connectivity. That's a USB-C and a USB-A outlet back here, and no, it's a good space to be. Of course, if you need some additional cup holders, as always, they're right in here for your big gulps or whatever you want to drink. But let's go into the driver's seat. Oh, actually, maybe one more thing I can show you here in a second is our Frunk, because we obviously have a front trunk in here. Unlike the Ioniq and the EV6 don't really have a big front trunk, but this one gets a 5 cubic feet big trunk. Plenty of space for groceries or larger items. This is really nice, and if you ever fill up the, I forgot, Ford hoods you always have to slam. If you ever fill up the rear of the Mach-E, well, you have plenty of space up front to use. Okay, I'm always struggling with Ford hoods. It's a very high effort. Anyhow, front seats and the interior. So, hey, play me a cool little animation. It doesn't want to do it right now. Okay, let's just start her up. As you can see, we have the big tablet screen right here, which I'm not a big fan of it. It is a very responsive and good in it's fairly responsive, and it's not a bad infotainment. It just takes a while right now, as you can see, to warm up and kind of get started, but it is very distracting, and especially the heated seats and cooled seats and all that, whatever you have in your Mach-E, it's just not good to reach because it's down here. And it's touch-based, and the heated seats are a menu for some reason instead of just tapping it a couple times. That, then wait, select whatever you want, and then you can leave it. It wouldn't be as big of an issue would it be up here, because that would mean that all traffic and everything that's outside of the windshield is still my peripheral vision. But if I look down here, I literally don't know what's going on out there, and that's just a safety hazard, and I don't like it. But otherwise, interior-wise, materials and all that are actually really nice. It's a good interior, a bit of storage down here. I like it, and of course a wireless charger here for all your needs. But I think we should get started and get driving. This is on 3, that's fine. The heat is on. Just double check that. Heat's on, yeah. And we can just leave it in, let's just leave it in this mode. You can also pop the trunk or the frunk, as you can see, but we want to stay in the drive mode. Selector. So how does it drive? Pretty good. I really like the Mach-E. I think it's a great EV. It's good driving dynamics, and generally probably the most fun EV to drive aside from like proper like sports EVs like a Taycan or something. Let's put it under unbridled here for a quick acceleration test. Let's see that guy coming. Nope. So we can just send it. And as you notice, it is not like super fast. We have 266 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque in this Mach-E California Route 1, which is fairly slow for an EV, but it's still plenty of power and you won't ever need any more. And what I really, really appreciate about this Mach-E, especially the rear-wheel drive version, is just, it is fun to drive. It is definitely more fun than an Ioniq or an EV6 will be to drive. And if you're pushing it, first of all, it feels pretty good to push. It's a lot of feedback coming through, except for the steering, which is a little lump. But because it's rear-wheel drive and electric, you can just fine-tune and like kind of dance that rear end so well, and you can pretty much use the accelerator pedal as kind of like a slip angle generator, I guess. I don't know where I was going with that, but basically you can completely decide how much slip and how much turn in you want from the rear end just with your accelerator, because it's instant torque, it's linear torque, because it's electric. It's just so easy to control, and honestly that's just so much fun. Because if you're in a corner and you're cornering hard and you just want to have that little bit more rotation, you can just get on that accelerator a little harder and your car will rotate around. You can have quite a bit of fun in this. And that's what I really appreciate. And I think that's the angle you can approach the Mach-E with, is if you're comparing it to the Ioniq 5 or you're comparing it to the EV6, is that this is more fun to drive than all of those. Of course, for the same price, actually for less money, this is $71,070 Canadian. For almost $10,000 less, you can get the fully optioned out EV6 and the fully optioned out Ioniq 5, which will be all-wheel drive, which will have more power. All-wheel drive, I'm not too fussy about that. As long as you get really, really good winter tires, you will be fine with rear-wheel drive as well. But the only other thing maybe is range, which is a weird thing in this one, because this should have more range than it shows me, and for the most part it is also like, it beats the range it shows me. Right now it shows me 227 kilometers of range with 74% of battery, but I've consistently lost less range than I actually have driven. And with our 91 kilowatt hour battery and a consumption of, let me go to trip, with a consumption of around 23 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, we should technically beat out the Ioniq 5s and the EV6s, which get about 370 to 400 kilometers range right now in this weather, which is just around freezing. But what this car is showing me is basically we're not getting more than 330, 350. I wasn't able to drive this much to really be able to entirely confirm, but from a purely mathematical standpoint and what I see with this car, this should be able to get 400 right now. Of course, warmer weather, you will be able to do a lot more, because as you can see, 26% of all my battery usage with this car has been just climate and heating. Speaking of, we can turn it down now that it is warm and save us a bit of range. But other than that, no, I like the Mach-E. It is not the cheapest option, and if you're really just looking for an EV that is easy to drive, it'll get you from A to B, it's comfortable, then the Ioniq 5 and the EV6 will be the better choice. But if you want to have a bit of excitement behind it, if you want to have a bit more fun and you value driving dynamics, the Mach-E really is the way to go. And I think the Ioniq 5 might be similarly cool due to its pixel looks. I really like how the Mach-E looks. I think it's good looking. Let's put it into one pedal driving and whisper mode though, just so we can have a bit of change here. I'm not a big fan of one pedal drive, I'll be honest, but we can try it nonetheless. These cameras we have in here are okay. We don't have like the best cameras, but they work. They work fairly well. Well, and of course, we also have Blue Cruise. That's a big factor. Really, kind of the deciding factor for me why I think this, despite being $10,000 more almost than an EV6 or an Ioniq 5, that this is still a solid choice. And that is because we have Blue Cruise, which is Ford's autonomous driving system, and they have improved it from 2021. I had the 2021 version of Blue Cruise twice, and I wasn't entirely happy with it. It was still a nice system to have, but it really wasn't a game changer like Super Cruise from General Motors is. But now it is really matured a little more. It is much more solid. It still doesn't work in as many situations as Super Cruise does, but on my commute every morning to work, it does make a noticeable difference, because about like 60% of my morning commute and afternoon commute, I can essentially let the car drive by itself. All I have to do is monitor the road ahead, and I don't have to keep my hands on the steering wheel because the car does it all, which is really nice. And I think from that angle, if you approach, yes, it's 10K more, but it is pretty much as nice, I would say. In the interior, it has a bit more style. It's a bit more of a lifestyle car, I guess. You lose a teeny tiny bit amount of range, like really it's almost the same, and you can't charge quite as fast, but you get autonomous driving and you get more fun driving dynamics. And that's really, if you value those two things, this is really something I think you can enjoy, and that I can recommend to people. Only thing is, if you're buying a 2023 and go for California Route 1, you'll actually pay 80 grand. Because they put in the all-wheel drive as like a 5K option, and then they adjusted the price upwards just like they all do right now because, well, inflation and all that. So then you end up with an 80K vehicle, and then I'm saying, no, don't. just get the Ioniq 5 with the EV6 at that point. But for this price, for $71.70 Canadian, yes, this is a good vehicle, and I really enjoyed, and I think Ford just kind of hit a home run here with the Mach-E, despite the controversy of it being a Mustang. But, well, you gotta fight Tesla somehow, and one way by doing that, well, the best way of doing that is having a strong nameplate. Okay, a bit of a kerfuffle here in the parking lot right now. I'm just gonna go here and then go left. I'm just gonna park down there. But yeah, that is this POV test drive slash review. I can go a bit backwards here. Of the Mustang Mach-E California Route 1. Like I said, for all my thoughts, or more in-depth thoughts, click on my Mach 1 GT review, which is on your screen right now. And hey, if you like the video, why not consider subscribing, because we upload reviews and POV test drive every single week about all sorts of cars. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.